Hello. Welcome to. All right, this is not Love Is Blind for um, anyone alley shaped that might be listening to this. You could turn off the podcast now. Thank you very much for clicking on it.
Whoever that person may or may not be.
Right. This is Unscripted Gaming. I think this is number 64 or something like that. I always have to look at the numbers. We're going to talk about video games. We're going to talk about the video game industry.
Metroid.
We're going to talk about...
Also, I'd like to be clear, the contents of this episode, if you're still listening to this named person, not my fault. Just putting it out there, not my fault. I'll explain later.
This is nice. This is a comfortable...
True OG unscripted gaming.
For me, this is like when you've ridden a bike for a long time and then you go grab that one reliable bicycle you've had for a while and you hop back on. You're like, this is nice. I remember this. This is kind of good. This feels nice to me. Or when you slip onto a really good pair of running shoes that you've worn in. You've done a couple 5Ks in them bad boys. You're like, yeah, yeah, I remember. I remember what we're doing here. All right.
You know, you don't remember how to do is say who you are.
Yeah. By the way, I'm Ray.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh. We're here to talk video games. We've done it before, and damn it, we'll do it again.
You know, I do want to open up by saying, like, the game industry, if you work in it, is still a spicy place to work, like, depending on the company. Like, I think it's safe to say at this point, we haven't done one of these in a while, but I think it's safe to say that unless you are a co-op owned or you are a privately owned game studio, if you're under an umbrella, it actually doesn't matter if you make a good game or not. Your job might be on the line, and that sucks. That's bad. That's not good. And it doesn't matter by who.
Yeah.
You could be under the umbrella of, a multi-trillion-dollar company that has more money than they literally know what to do with, and they'll shut down your studio for I don't know what reason. I couldn't fathom. So it's spicy out there.
Yeah. I think I saw Tim Sweeney or somebody was like, just publish an op-ed recently.
Oh God.
Well, just like the game industry needs to be more patient. Like the big players need to be more patient because we're seeing too much of exactly what Ray is talking about, and games coming out being successful but not hitting certain thresholds, or people getting gun shy because the Embracer Group is having a hard time with they're balancing their pocketbooks, and it's resulting in a lot of upheaval. But
is this the same Tim Sweeney? Just to make sure, CEO
maybe I made that
Epic,
up. I
Tim
swear that I saw that was who wrote that article. Maybe I made that up.
Okay, because I was about to be on fire. Like the guy that I'm gonna assume that was a mistake and it wasn't.
Maybe the person who wrote the article mentioned Tim Sweeney, and that's where I got that confused. I'll have to go back and find that article, and I'll link it in the show notes or something. But it's basically a piece on like, hey, these big studios need to be more patient. But also we've seen this before, so hopefully we get the next indie wave from this, or the next the groups of studios who we get the next Respawn who come and do something interesting and shake things up a bit. So
yeah, so no secret, I teach how to make video games on the college, and it's been kind of a weird year, like teaching seniors who are like, we're about to go into this world and this is not like the safest world to go into. And the thing I tell them, which is the honest... Yeah. The thing I tell them, which is the honest truth, is, listen, it's scary out there, and you might take some solace in this. This isn't the first time this has happened. This isn't even the first time this has happened in my lifetime. This happened when I was getting my degree in gaming. In case you guys forget, the giant layoff wave that happened in 2012 to 2014, the studio that made Dead Space... Let us not forget, that studio doesn't exist anymore. Even though Dead Space were some good games. I like those games a lot. The studio that made Halo Wars, that studio doesn't exist anymore. Right? All around the same time frame. I could go on. There are books written about this. You should read Jason Schreier's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. It actually names a lot of these studios. But I'm not saying that it's a good thing that this happens, but this is another wave of that happening. As Josh perfectly alluded to, thank you very much, is what it does after that is it creates a bunch of smaller indie studios that just pop up and make, honestly, really interesting games. And then those studios get bought up, right? Like Respawn, perfect example. Thank you very much. What a wonderful example of a bunch of people that are like, hey, we're sick and tired of just making Call of Duty. We're going to like branch off and make like, oops, we made Titanfall. Okay, then we made Titanfall 2. Oh, one of the best first-person shooters known to man, Titanfall 2. Josh, have you played Titanfall 2?
I have not.
I am begging you to play Titanfall 2. It has mechs. It has the tightest mechanics of a first-person shooter I have played, and the story. There's a bit of the story that involves a little bit of time travel, and I know you want to hear the words time travel and you roll your eyes, but I promise you it rocks, absolutely rules. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. It's weird out there. The layoffs still keep happening. Some games are still getting canceled. The competitor to The Sims, being made by Paradox Studios, that got just canceled. To be fair, because it was crap.
Yes, we're not saying that like every project has to come to fruition, or there aren't studios that are just not economically viable because they're not putting out good products. Like there is still an element of capitalism and business and like things that are going to happen. Like not everybody gets to keep their job just by the nature of having a job. Like obviously, like some people just aren't cut out to run companies or whatnot. Like there is shit out there.
Who decided Golem needed to be its own video game? I want to be in that pitch meeting.
Golem won the argument, you know?
Yeah, someone ordered a bunch of pizzas and said, like, we're not leaving this room until that little freak... This is Mike as a game developer. We're not leaving this room until a little freak is in our next Lord of the Rings game. We just got the property.
Here's the ultimate question, though. Did that person who got those pizzas...
Yeah.
Were they a Mike, and were they a true believer in that little freak had to have a game? Or were they a me and was like, yo, I bet I can get this whole ass studio to make a game about Gollum if I just fucking dig my heels in hard enough? Which one was it? Which of us was it?
What an excellent question, because it's not
somebody just went Sigma for Gollum, you know.
Someone went Gollum mode for Gollum and said, this is my precious, and we're making it. I can't. I'm sorry but that's a studio that also got shut down. But that's one of those studios where you're like, yeah, absolutely. What were you all thinking? Yep. What happened there?
I love how they made that game. And
Andy
then, like,
Serkis actually
apologized.
was the champion behind it. And when they approached him to do the re-recording of the audiobooks, he's like, all right, listen, I'll do the audiobooks, but you have to make a video game about Gollum and me, and that that's
20 years from now.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry to diverge. I have worked for the Embracer Group twice. One accidentally in my gaming career. The studio
I didn't intend to.
I did not intend. I was actually running away from them. Then the studio I was working for got bought by the Embracer Group. I was like, I can't believe this, and I had so many.
They fucking chased you down.
I had so many game developer friends like in my DMs saying, "So what's that feel like?" I'm like, awful, actually.
The Embracer Group.
I've been
Embracer
embraced.
Group wants you, Ray. Come be with us.
You
embrace.
But that's a horrible publisher, and to anyone working under the Embracer Group, I implore you to do everything you can to leave. ASAP, as fast as... Gearbox is no longer under the Embracer Group because they're tired of their crap. Anyways, so we want to talk about... Now we got the bad stuff out of the way. That's obligatory. Let's talk about some good stuff. Nintendo, here's a company, here's a publisher, here's a distributor, here's a console manufacturer that has not had a bunch of layoffs because they just keep making like bangers. They just keep throwing them out there. They don't come out often, but when they do come out.
No, but when they do. Nintendo has been in its money printing era for the last 8 years, and so they're just like, well, okay, How do we keep the content train rolling?
I think the Switch has officially passed the Super Nintendo in sales. And I can't express what that means, because I think all three of us have a Super Nintendo in our home, and I think all three of us have
has it outsold the Wii and the PS2 yet?
I need to look that up. PS2 no.
I feel like we'd know that.
Yeah, I feel like PS2 has set a bar that will never be taken over, but
it outsold the Wii 1 month ago.
Wow, that's
nuts.
That is impressive.
Oh, I'm looking at that wrong. That's 2023. It outsold the Wii a year ago. Oh crap! Never mind.
Wow.
Okay.
So what are the current total sales for the Switch?
Let me see. Here.
Speaking of, like, real quick, we'll get into some of the actual game announcements here in a minute. But Nintendo did their Direct, and in that Direct, even though they're literally talking about the Switch successor and making sure that everybody knew that there would be no news in this Direct, but it will come later, that they're still releasing a limited edition, Switch Lite handheld that is Hyrule themed for one of the games that got announced. But it's like, we are 7, 8 years into this console cycle. We know it's end of life, and they're still putting out hardware that they know is going to sell. And probably most of the people who buy that special edition Switch Lite, that will be their, at minimum, second Switch.
I can't find the exact number. I tried to go to GameIndustry.biz, but I can't find the exact number. But it was in August of 2023 when the lifetime Switch sales surpassed the lifetime Wii sales. But yes, I do want to bounce off what you said. I was actually theory crafting that this would be kind of a very boring Nintendo Direct. I've stopped watching them because some of them are just like, I don't care. If it's something big, great. Unless it's Metroid, I don't care. I can't believe I missed the Metroid one. Slept right through it. But it is shocking because normally Nintendo's like, that meme from Toy Story 3 where Andy has like Woody and says, I don't want to play with you anymore, and drops Woody on the floor. That's what Nintendo normally does in like the last 2 years of their console.
Yep.
Like Wii U, what happened in the last 2 years of the Wii? No one cares. Granted, that's an unfair example, but it is a recent example. What was like, okay, I take that back. The last game to come out on the Wii U, like its swan song, was The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, but it also released on Switch. So who cared about it releasing on Wii U? Same thing with the GameCube and Wii, Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess, which also released on Wii and GameCube the same day. Who cares it released on GameCube? It's on the Wii, and everybody wants that.
Now, I will say, in the one defense of the GameCube Twilight Princess, is that it is collectible because it is the unmirrored version.
That's true.
And they only made a handful of discs for it. So like, if you do have a copy of that, I'm sure it's worth a pretty penny at this point.
Also, just I guess me going old man mode speaking. That's probably the superior way to play the game. I'm done with Waggle Tech. I'm DONE done.
You don't want to waggle your Wiimote? Waggle.
It was cool when I was 19.
It's
not
one-to-one
cool
sword
anymore.
motions. It's one-to-one sword motions.
It is not one-to-one. It is you waggle once and Link swings his sword. The one-to-one sword motion was in Skyward Sword, which is a bad video. I was gonna say a bad video. It's not bad. It's just a bear to play. I don't know if you guys have played Skyward Sword.
I have not.
Have not watched some of it, but
no. Anyways, let's talk about the Nintendo Direct. There were some games announced. Should we just get to the big one? Because I know Josh is frothing at the mouth, rightfully so, to get to it.
Y'all, okay. I was unwell.
Set the stage for us, Josh.
So I am driving.
Down
I-70.
Yep. As you do.
Returning home from a work trip.
Yep.
And I've got my maps up on my phone. I know that the Direct is happening. Literally a few days ago, we were having a conversation in the group chat joking about how, my God, it's been since 2017 since we've heard anything about a certain game where we thought we were going to have 2 in the series. And then I see a notification. Metroid Prime 4 is real. From one Mike. And I'm like, nah, bro. You're fucking with me. So, I'm driving along. I do a little quick voice to text, maybe in all caps, like, I need actual video from the direct. You're messing with me, please. There's no way. And I see a video come through, and I have to pull off the exit to stop at a rest stop because I am so unwell at this point. And I pull it up, and there, beholden unto my eyes, is a title card, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And even beyond that, there is actual gameplay footage in front of me.
Alleged gameplay.
They did it, babe.
Stop, Ray! Don't.
It's here.
Ray, don't do this to me.
I won't. Have your fun pie.
Oh my God, we've got gameplay. We've got date, approximately 2025, which coincidentally happens to be when they're supposed to be launching the Switch 2. Maybe launch title.
Absolutely. No, I'm on that train. This is a
here.
launch title that launches on Switch and Switch 2. I'm calling it now.
It's here. It's real. It's actually happening. Somehow this 7-year journey is seemingly coming to an end. It's happening.
They restarted development on this game 3 times.
Well, I almost said this earlier when you were talking about like the spice in the game industry, and I was like, I know, Ray, people who have worked in that studio.
Yep.
And have been following like the job postings, and you're like, oh, it's not going well.
I think the worst one I posted to you was in 2020 when they said, "Hey, we need a lead gameplay director." I'm like, "Oh, that's not a job you look for
in the middle or the end of production."
That's a panic job placement. Normally, if you have to replace that person, you have them in the shoot. You don't. Nintendo doesn't reach out to the industry asking for help. The help is there. That's where I said, ooh. But 4 years later, here we are. They pulled it together.
I cannot believe it. And maybe the Prime remaster was just successful enough for them to be like, okay, we really need to hurry this along or really put we're confident in where we are now to finish investing in the project, because part of me thinks that if Prime remaster had flopped, then wherever that project was in process, they would have been like, nah, let's can't stop it, let's work on Dread 2, let's go to the next thing. I
got a counter for that.
Yeah.
I think it was Dread. I think the sales numbers of Dread determined if the funding of Prime 4 was going to continue. Dread was a brand new game.
Yeah.
Prime 4 is a brand new game. A remaster is allowed to trip. It's allowed to trip on itself because the money's basically already made. The fan base that wants that game is going to buy it. How many people own Metroid Prime? Probably cut that number in half. That's how many sales you should expect to make. Metroid Dread, though, sold way higher than anyone anticipated. I think it was last time I checked, which was a year and a half ago, 3 million unit sales, which is not a number Metroid makes regularly at all. It just doesn't. And so that show of forced dedication, so many people streaming, so many people giving it positive remarks. By the way, beautiful game. I don't know if we said it before, but I need to get it out there. What a way to end the series. What? Oh, I'm not giving spoilers, even though I know all three of you have played it. But I really like that game. But that's what I think. Nintendo's like, hey, let's see what Mercury Steam does. If Mercury Steam releases a banger and it sells well, we're gonna keep this studio going, and we'll give you a couple more resources. Otherwise, we have to have a different conversation. I absolutely believe that's in my deep analytical heart of hearts. But it's happening. It's happening. You know what gives me such hope? You know what makes me so happy? That was the anchor in their Nintendo Direct. They always save their most important game as the anchor.
Yep.
That's Nintendo throwing their back into it.
They knew.
Mm-hmm.
That's. Oh, and the way they announced it too on the Nintendo Direct, we have one more game that we think you're really gonna be interested in. And then that screen faded to black, and you heard that music. Delicious. All right. So, Josh, how did you feel after you saw that video?
So me being the person that I am with how I feel about trailers, like once I had seen the title card from the official Nintendo of America account and I'd seen some gameplay, like I stopped.
Community note.
Yeah, I stopped watching. So I probably got a third of the way through the video. You know, there were some scenes of Samus moving around and shooting and whatnot, but like the clip that you sent me today earlier, like I didn't get far enough in the trailer to see that, because I was like, all right, I've got my sign of life. Now I go into Pope Vatican selection cloister and try my goddamn best for the next year and a half to avoid anything that I can, so I can go in as raw as possible.
Gotcha.
So, but I can tell you, like, I was so unbelievably elated to just see that, to know that it was real, to like, even seeing the title card, I wasn't fully convinced yet, because I was like, okay, like, oh, they threw out a, like, hey, we've got a name now, it's like still here. I didn't believe it, and then I saw actual movement. I was, oh, there's stuff that's rendered. It's really happening, and then
there's a UI.
I was like, oh my god.
She turns into a morph ball.
Yep, they did the Metroid thing.
You get to see Silex. They're closing the loop. At the end of Metroid Prime 3, you saw Silex's ship chase after Samus's ship. Yep. And Silex pops in through the door, head tilted to the side like a gangster. And then two mock droids appear behind his shoulder. You're like, what is going on? What is happening in this story?
Gang, motherfucker, let's go.
And then it cuts out. And that was dope. That's super dope. By the way, I have those numbers. It was bugging me. The Wii lifetime sales, 101.63 million units. Nintendo Switch up to date as of November of 2023. So, a while ago. 132.4 million units. That's a lot of consoles. Anyways,
that is a lot of consoles.
So, I want to play it. It's been a long time since I played Prime 3. I didn't love Metroid Prime 3. I think I liked the story, but I did not love the constant backtracking. I think the worst backtracking part, spoilers abound, is when they tell you, hey, you need to go get the power bomb, which, by the way, is on a completely different planet from the one you're on, so go do that, Samus. I rolled my eyes when the game literally told me to go do that, and I texted Josh about that. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot they told you to leave this part of the plane of existence to go get a power bomb. I wasn't in love with Metro Prime 3, but I did love 1. I do have the 1 remaster. I think I like 2. I think I liked Metro. I liked what 2 tried to do. How about that? And to the other games in the Direct, just a couple of them that kind of interested me. The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. I have owned many of the games in this collection, and I'm so glad that it's coming back. EVO is about to be lit next year. I can't wait to see it. And then there was...
Yeah, how did you feel about that collection? Like, is it one where you're like, okay, I'm excited to have easy access to the games that I knew? Or are you interested in playing some of the games that maybe you knew about but you didn't have because, as kids of our era, you had to, put your basket in one or two? Like, are you excited? Are you excited for the ones that you love deeply, or are you excited to get to really experience some of the ones that maybe you didn't as much but you always wanted to? Or is it a little bit of both?
I kind of want to buy the Steam version, and no disrespect to Nintendo, but your online connectivity for your fighting games is pants. So I want to buy the Steam version of these games, and I want to just relive some of these games, because I think I've played every single one of these games in an arcade except X-Men Children of the Atom. I have not actually played that one. I've played Marvel Superheroes. Josh, you were there when I was beating everyone's ass in Marvel Superheroes, that one 14th or 13th birthday party. Of course, I've played Marvel vs. Capcom. Of course, I've played Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I have not played the Punisher fighting game. What I want from what I wanted from this collection, like all of the games in this collection make perfect sense. This is that entire line of when Capcom had one fighting game engine and they squeezed out 7 different games out of one fighting game engine. They all play exactly the same. They all have relatively exactly the same. They all have similar commands. The sprites are the exact same sprites from game to game. They just tweak the speeds a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to get in there and I want to do some Maximum Spider on some Fools Online. God, that sounds so much more fun right now. I want to be that 13-year-old playing that type of game. And yeah, don't worry. There's someone on there that's been playing on an arcade server. Those exist for like the last 30 years. And I'm going to hop in there and they're going to beat my ass with Thanos. And I'm going to ask questions about what I've been doing with my life. But it's going to be fun. And I like that stuff. It's kind of like the first time when me and Josh played Dragon Ball FighterZ, and after a couple of like friendly matches I would play with Mike, I'd say, "Cool, I'm gonna go into ranked mode." Someone picked Broly, and I had to learn the hard way what super armor meant, cause they would just block every single one of my attacks with their chest, and then grab me by the head, and then 5 seconds later I'm caught in a combo I can't get out of, and I start reevaluating some things. That's what I love about fighting games. That's what I love about this collection. I want those memories to come back. By the way, there were a couple other games that were announced. I'm gonna be honest. The only other one that struck me was the new Legend of Zelda game, the one where you get to play as Zelda. I think that looks adorable. I think that looks really, really cute. I think the trailer for it was really awesome, where it shows Link doing his thing, trying to save Zelda, and then he gets caught into a little goo pit. And as he's about to be trapped forever, he whips out the bow and strikes the crystal that Zelda's trapped in. And then Link says something like, "Save me." And Zelda escapes from the castle. She's like, "Okay,
all right.
I guess it's me this time." I think that's great. I think that's really, really cute.
Yeah, they're...
The Legend of Link.
They're definitely...
Finally.
JRPG fans are definitely feasting this year. I thought the Nintendo Switch Sports adding basketball as a free update coming soon, that's pretty cool. That game's been out for a long time, and they're still adding another game to it.
Back up. What game is this?
The Switch Sports Resort, I think, is the Nintendo Switch Sports. They're adding basketball to the game as a free update here coming soon.
I didn't know that game still got updates.
Yeah,
that is news to me. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
This summer, basketball is coming as an update to Switch Sports, which is again,
Do you play that with your kids?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Actually,
that's really cool. Then
my oldest two love to play it. We play a lot of tennis. They try golf. They don't really get golf yet, but they really enjoy that.
Speaking of games you might like to play with your kids, Mike, there is a Switch version of the game Stray coming, where you play as a stray cat.
Yeah, I think we've got our cat fill right now, but we'll keep it on the radar for sure.
I literally just somebody told me about Stray, and I just downloaded it, and I'm planning on playing that here very soon.
That's cool.
So, not in time. I'm not gonna play it on the Switch, but hey, it's cool that it's coming to the Switch. So,
there's a new Mario and Luigi game. Those games are fun. I've not played a single one, but I've watched the Let's Play of one, and they're fun. They're fun and funny. Yeah, there's a new Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are getting HD remakes. Maybe I'll actually play a Dragon Quest game one day. I guess if I'm going to play one, I'll play the remake of Part 1. Sure. I'll give it a shot.
Let's see, Among Us is getting an update. There's a Looney Tunes sports game that's coming out. I feel like there's been enough Looney Tunes adjacent content coming out in the last few years across media that somebody is really trying to push Looney Tunes to make a resurgence. So
good.
Be on the lookout for that.
This is a good thing, right?
Yeah, because they do have a movie coming out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it is a thing they're trying to do. They did also write off the Looney Tunes movie that they had made as a tax
Yeah, I saw that. So. Wasn't that the court one?
Yeah.
A Wile E. Coyote.
The Wile E. Coyote legal thriller, you mean? Yes.
I would have watched the shit out of that.
That we don't get to watch anymore.
Boo.
And nobody gets to watch it because it's just sitting in a vault because it's a tax write-off.
Boo.
Well, it's been destroyed, actually, to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
It does suck.
Warner Brothers, burn in hell.
For now. There's a Metal Slug Attack Reloaded game. I like the Metal Slug series because, okay, this is a very... Josh might know what I'm talking about. The Casano's Pizza in Xenia, Ohio. That one. That Casano's had a SNK machine. And when I worked a little summer job at an ice cream shop, doesn't exist anymore, I would take a little bit of that check and I would I would go to the guy on the counter and say, hey, I don't want to buy any pizza or anything. Can you turn a couple of these bucks into quarters? I'm going to sit in your arcade for a bit. And I would play a lot of the Metal Slug games. So I have like this fondness for Metal Slug that goes way, way back into the back of my head.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Metal Slug Attack is a tower defense game using Metal Slug, and I think that's dope. And I might F around and kind of play that. That's kind of neat.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah. There's a Funko video game.
Yeah.
Funko Fusion. No. How about no?
Yeah. I tell you, like, there. You know, I saw there's the man. I don't know how I feel about this new Mickey Mouse. They've been trying. They did an animated series with this weird.
Oh, the Illusion Island one.
Yes, Disney Illusion Island. Like that Mickey has his own cartoon. Like I recently went to Disney World, and that style of Mickey Mouse does not feature anywhere in the parks or anything like that. But like in the media, he has gotten more popular, and the show. Like I cannot get behind that art style. But like, you know. We love a Mickey Mouse.
Do kids like it? Because I'm looking at this as an adult, and I'm like, man, I'm not in love with it. I get where they're going with the very simplistic style.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a deconstructed Cartoon Network style animation. You know, the Cartoon Network has definitely had a very distinct drawing style in the last handful of years, and I feel like it's almost reminiscent of that, but a little more deconstructed. I don't. Again, I'm not into it. My children still prefer to watch they would prefer to watch Mickey Mouse in the like CGI version, but that looks more like traditional drawn Mickey Mouse than that. So I don't really know, but like, man, name the last time you knew a console was on its last leg and getting ready to get replaced, and like this meant like this is the ultimate last hurrah for the Switch of like we are feasting right now.
I'm going to go ahead and say something kind of that could be perceived as uncool, but I kind of mean it. I think this is the exit of Reggie Fils-Aimé. I think having a new president helping steer the ship. I think having a new CEO of the company, they're just like, nah, we've sold so many of these, why not keep supporting it? Like, that just makes more sense. Which is a really smart play, because I, every so often, still do play my Switch. So now I have more reason to go ahead and fire it up again. I don't have to just let it turn into what my Wii U is doing, which is in my closet and just collecting dust.
I also think that it is... I think there's definitely, and maybe it is Reggie and the leadership in general being different, but maybe it is also just like in a more modern context, somebody has finally been like, listen, the next console, as long as we don't fuck it up, will sell itself. We don't have to sell it. It's just going to be. So what we need to do is focus on the games, because we're only going to be able to make so many of them at once. I think they're getting ahead of the scalpers too, because I am going to venture a guess that the Switch 2 at launch is going to be fucking unobtainium. People are going to buy it up. It's going to be very difficult. They're going to be marked up. Like, it is going to be hard.
That's a good sell. I can believe that.
So to make sure that people aren't too upset about it, they make sure that the ending cycle of the Switch is so loaded that if you don't get a Switch 2 right away, you are still able to have a lot of game. You're still able to give Nintendo your money and do something until you get the Switch 2.
Josh, I think that is the most wise business decision
right?
pitch I think I've ever heard you say.
Yeah.
I'm like super on board with that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Cooking, y'all.
I mean, I also think the Switch 2 is also probably not going to be like, from a like hardware perspective, a super like bleeding edge kind of thing, and I think that's going to help too, because like the stuff to make a Switch 2 has been around for a long time, and I think that's probably going to be a big factor too. But yeah, also just like compared to, we haven't really talked about like the Xbox situation, which is probably also something that should be talked about.
Yes. Yeah. Let's go for it. Go.
But like the fact that the Switch is like, hey, here's like a bunch of games coming out like this year, and Xbox is like, look at these games that might come out in 2026. Yeah, and it's just like a real world of difference in terms of like how like your quadruple A games are imploding on themselves versus like what Nintendo is kind of doing. Brief gaming interjection.
Okay.
I am playing Destiny 2: The Final Shape.
Oh, we didn't talk about this. We didn't get to this. Yeah, go for it.
We probably shouldn't, because Josh is still playing through the story.
I'm very early. I think I'm a little over halfway, so we can't. And I think
we can't.
There's so much hashtag gaming news right now. We'll get into what we're playing soon, but we gotta get through the news, man. News.
So for Microsoft, I ultra disappointed in their gaming division for like a variety of reasons. We covered this at the very top, but like I have and I was playing, like I still have it. I'm on like level 3. They shut down the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush, even though Hi-Fi Rush is literally a artistic marvel of a game and an award-winning game that sold a lot of copies. How many copies did they sell? I don't know, because the only data that Microsoft is willing to release to us for how many copies is they say, here's how many people played it on Game Pass.
Yeah, which is fake.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
If it was good, they would release the numbers. But it's not.
Yeah. So
because that's the whole problem with what is happening. Because like Microsoft, because like the Xbox group were like, to be competitive, we need to buy the biggest fucking game maker out there, and spend 70. Okay, let's not make up numbers.
It was 69.
$69 billion with a B to buy Activision Blizzard. The people who make Call of Duty is the big one, which is like the Law and Order background video game.
We're gonna buy Todd Howard, who's gonna release a space sim that doesn't do very well, and then they have the audacity to try and charge $7 for a mission.
One mission. $7. Insane. It used to be DLC was $7 for like the pack, not $7 for like what 1/10 of the pack. Absolute insanity. Yeah, and that's another.
That rocks. Love it.
That's another. I will say, hey,
go for it.
In their defense, sometimes a Bethesda main story mission can be hours long. Like it can be quite substantial. I don't know the situation of this particular mission. Like, I saw Todd Howard got on an interview with some YouTuber and was apologizing about it. Blah blah blah, whatever. Just doing the typical CEO plaudits. But like, man, like that the audacity though.
I want to go ahead and be very honest, and this is not coming from a place of hate. Name the last Bethesda game you played that actually impressed you.
Fallout New Vegas.
Okay. Wait, that was published by Bethesda. That was made by Obsidian.
Fallout 3.
All right. Mike, yourself?
My last Bethesda game
that impressed you.
Probably Skyrim. I think Skyrim is a very.
I mean, there's a reason it's
is the answer to this question.
I'm one of the weirdos that not only have I not bought Skyrim 10 different times, I've never played Skyrim.
I'm gonna be that person. I've played and beat Skyrim. I don't think you're missing much. I think it's mid.
I think that is very. I think that is a little outlandish, but I respect it.
I am one of the few people I know, unfortunately, that has actually sat down and say, I just want to see the ending of this game. Because most people just play it forever, because you can. It's like, no, there's a story here. I just want to see the ending of it. Well, I did see the ending of the story. Not great. Now I understand why people play it forever. It's fine. If you compare Skyrim to something like, and this is unfair, but like any other PC RPG, CRPG, you're like, that's not a fair conversation to have. Because every, like, Divinity, Original Sin blows it out of the water, or like, I say even Fallout 3, which is an okay game with a bad ending. Man, Bethesda cannot stick the landing on ending their game. Now that I really think about it, it can.
Ray over here drinking the haterade.
No, I buy and I play these games.
It is. Sorry that these games with so many different branching paths and options and choices and very like, you cannot just.
How about it's not that okay? I have played Skyrim, and here's the thing: that Skyrim does have pulled the wool, or people just love it. They're just randomized dungeons. It's the same 4 dungeons that just repeats, and the length is the length of the dungeon.
I feel like you need to take it in whole though, think about the context of this game when it came out in like 2012.
When it came out in 2012,
that shit was kind of mind blowing for console gamers.
Okay,
in 2012,
for console gamers, I will give you that.
The console plebs weren't ready for the Fus Roda. Like, that shit hit them in the chest, and they said, oh my god, yes, please.
I'm not saying Skyrim's a bad game. I'm saying I never understood the extreme amount of hypes. I don't know if it still gets to this day. I don't know. That's me, though. If you love it, you love it. That's great. Go with your deity. I'm told that if you mod Skyrim, it's even better. Put your mods in there. Do it.
That's fair.
But I haven't been excited to play a Bethesda game for a long time because they all kind of sort of feel and look the same. Like when I was watching you, Josh, play Starfield, I'm like, okay, so I'm looking at the controls, and this is like Fallout in space, is what it feels like. And I don't think I want to play that. And I actually don't know what I want to play when it comes to a space game, because I played No Man's Sky, and I'm like, this is good, but I don't want to play this for hours. This is fine. Oh, okay, never mind. I answered my own question. I know exactly what I wanted to play for a space game. I answered my own question. It was Star Wars Squadrons. Guys, some of the best moments I've had in gaming is playing with you guys in Star Wars Squadrons. That's what I want in a space game. That's not the point. Point being, Microsoft weirdly dropping the ball lately, weirdly making weird announcements lately. They seem to be reliant on Game Pass to get them over the hump or the slump that they're in right now, even though their Game Pass numbers are decreasing because whatever reason, I don't know, what have you. Phil Spencer, when he helped to fire 4 different small studios that are under their umbrella, he got real quiet on his social medias, even though you can't get that man to shut up on social media. And then he comes back like, oh yeah, we had the Xbox summer state of play or whatever they call it event. And then he starts chatting shit again, and I'm like, dude, F off. I'm on to you. Just stop it. I hate that. Like, hey, why don't you talk about the lives that you affected, Phil? You want to start chatting stuff. Why don't you talk about the people that you laid off in your multi-trillion-dollar company? Can we talk about that for just a hot second? No. No, we can't. That's my disappointment with Xbox. Then there was a Sony State of Play event, and I don't know if you guys saw that or care to have seen it.
I want to say one more thing about the Microsoft stuff.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
But yeah, so they acquire Activision.
Yeah.
For like $70 billion, and be like, now this is what finally will make Xbox the leader in the marketplace again. And then the people, sometimes have to remember that if you work at Microsoft, you have the same internal company email as the people who make Excel. Okay, you have to remember that that's where you work.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who make Excel, they don't miss things. So when you spend $70 billion on something kind of stupid, they're like, hey, what did you do? and then like, they're like, we bought Call of Duty, and they're like, great, so we can sell Call of Duty and bank on all the copies of Call of Duty we're going to sell, right? And they're like, we got to put it on Game Pass still. And they're like, what the fuck is Game Pass?
I saw that. I was listening to Jeff Gershman's podcast, and apparently a lot of people, the studio making Call of Duty this year, had no idea what Game Pass was and why they were shipping their game.
Well, and like the Xbox people were being like, we're gonna be like, yeah, there's gonna be 100 million Game Pass users in 5 years. It's like,
yeah, they were basing their sales projections on like literally that 100.
It's like Disco.
2024, we're gonna.
It's like Disco Stew being like, look, these disco sales, they're going. There's no cliff in sight.
I love the sight gag on that chart where it stops exactly at 1977. He says
right,
it's only going up.
It's only going up.
No, you're absolutely right.
So it's just like, again, like so then the part, I think, my theory on this is all conjecture and bullshit. I don't know anything. But the reason Microsoft had to make all these like crazy layoffs and closures and stuff was because they got like, hey, you need to generate revenue now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are underwater and have there's no real plan to really like turn the switch on Game Pass to like really with how that's what they're doing with that service, and like the kind of bridges it's kind of burning with people as far as like sales and like names for their company.
Can I explain that real quick as someone
like,
that worked
let
at
me
the company?
finish
Okay,
this
go
real
ahead.
quick. Like it's I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Okay, my apologies. My sincerest apologies. I was gonna say, how Microsoft's Game Pass works, for those that don't know, is Microsoft pays a company like literally millions of dollars in advance. Sometimes it's as little as like 3 to 5. Sometimes it's as much as 50 to 60 million dollars, depending on the contract, to say like, when you make this game, you're making a Game Pass SKU. Whatever you got to do to get it working, this is the money to make that work, and we're going to front foot the bill. And then the company says, yep, because all the money that goes out of Game Pass, it doesn't come back to the developer. It just doesn't. It goes to Microsoft because they paid for it in advance. And I have heard speculation that Microsoft has stopped paying in advance to get games on Game Pass. They are just saying they will call the studio and kind of offer, like, will you make a Game Pass SKU? And they kind of expect the developer to do it, unless it's the developer is under Microsoft's umbrella already. Example, Activision, Bethesda. Much like the example Josh just made, like, no one else cares. They're not dumping into that because there's no money to be made there, and you need to pay your employees to kind of keep that going. Also, $10 a month, that's great for the consumer. That's horrible to run a business. unless you actually make like 100 million people actually going to Game Pass. Currently, there are 33 and declining. I think now 32 million subscribers to Game Pass. That is not going to get to 100 million. There aren't that many people interested in doing that. I mean, we are at a point where we're in subscription overload with like the entire consciousness of society. We just stop asking me to subscribe to stuff. I see how much money disappears out of my bank account. Stop it. I got an ad from Experian, the credit reporting agency, that offers a free service to actually take away subscriptions that you're not using off of your bank accounts. That's how real it's kind of getting out there. So I don't see how this is going to be successful. And it's really weird. You want Call of Duty, I like that phrase, the law and order of video games, to somehow make its revenue back by putting it on Game Pass. The person that was, I know Josh might disagree with me on this because we talked about this briefly, but the person that was absolutely 100% going to pay $70 on November 4th, whenever that game released, it was already accounted for. They already set it aside. They will take away their baby's food money or something like that to make sure they get the next Call of Duty game in their system. Now you're telling them like,
it is a Black Ops one, which is, got me thinking.
Got my thinking.
Pritchard's back, he's fun.
Right. Y'all,
but that same cohort only has to pay $10 now.
I have to confess something. I know I've been a Game Pass stan for quite some time.
Uh-oh.
But GameStop made some changes to their Power Up Plus program. So my basically my infinite money glitch to get Game Pass expired.
Loss prevention, do not listen to this.
And
okay, continue, Josh.
My credit card got hacked in something, and I got a new debit card.
Okay.
My Game Pass lapsed because of that, and I have not put a new card on file. And it has been at least 8 weeks since that happened.
And I bet you're not going to go back.
I mean, at some point I probably will. Like, if the gang TM's like, yo, hey, let's play some, Halo. I don't know. Like, I will probably at some point do it. But, like, right now I'm like, I have Destiny. I just learned about Stray, and I'm going to play that. Like, I don't need it right now. There will be times where I probably come back and do it and then unsubscribe. Man. That's
another thing. Game Pass don't mean crap if you don't have like the games everybody wants to play on it. Like, it's like
having the Call of Duty is kind of like that thing, but
what an incredible loss leader idea of just, as I was saying, you're going to lose $60 a sale. You've guaranteed. Why would you? I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, like, again, the people that like the Excel navigators that Microsoft has, who help them foresee the future of what if we just make every business computer give us money forever. Who are doing that shit are like, hey, you guys need to make money now. Have you considered not putting Call of Duty on Game Pass? Because you need money now. That's the thing. Is like, they were at a point where they like, that's why they like closed the Hi-Fi Rush studio and then turned around and were like, we need, smart, small scale, culturally, like, games that get good accolades. Like the studio that they shut down because like
Hi-Fi Rush.
They needed the money then. Like, that's kind of like, well, same thing for like the Arcane closures too. It's like, we need the things that are already in development. Like, nobody's starting anything new now because that's a big expense on the book right now. Phil Spencer, you know what you took from me.
Yeah, this is not a secret anymore. They actually publicly said it.
You know what you took from me.
Released kind
and
of a
you
not
will
great
not
game.
know peace. The outsider will haunt your dreams, and
I'm thinking about that alien from Independence.
The rattling of teeth will be all you can hear when you are alone with your thoughts. Until you give me Dishonored 3, goddammit.
I have a friend who was working at Arcane Studios.
Or Otogi 3. That'll be fine, too.
That's from Soft.
Either one.
And they were saying Redfall was a really, really rough game to make. Because this is not a studio that makes live service games. And they, being honest, they're like, yeah, we don't know what we're doing. We're trying to do this. We got this from on top. We had to make a vampire live service first-person 4-player shooter game, and we've never made any of that before. Why are we doing this now? But they had to do it, and it wasn't great. And they tried to fix it, and the studio got canned before they could release the Make Good patch. But yeah, he messaged me on the side and absolutely said, yeah, we were working on Dishonored 3. We wanted to go back to our roots. We wanted to make a game that we knew how to make. And hearing that that's been stripped from the world because of not even exaggerating, corporate heads on high just trying to say they know what's best for the market is insanely disappointing. Because I think the Dishonored games are like dope. I think they're super fire. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know if Arcane Leon is going to pick up the slack there, but man, that sucks. That sucks. And Mike, I think you're absolutely right. I think if you're the game division, the toy division of a company, and you just incidentally spent, and I said this in our chat, not just $70 billion for the companies, but the legal fees, fighting it literally across the world, trying to justify the payout. How much in lawyer fees did you pay? How much in expenses? So let's just say probably closer to like $75 billion. Like, hey, that's 3% of our company's evaluation. What did you spend it on? What, you spent it on the Call of Duty people? Why? For what? And yeah, I'm sure some director went to Phil Spencer, sat him down, like pushed him into a chair, and says, "Listen here."
Oh yeah, like they absolutely put Phil Spencer's Xbox Pro controller in like the pain box from they did that to him to be like, you will comply with shareholder expectations or you will die. And then this happened. And when you think about it like that, it all makes a lot of sense. Because yes, it is stupid that they probably closed that studio, but if your immediate and extremely clear directive is to show, and this is not the time to like talk about like investment growth. Like, you need to turn the screws and generate money.
Yeah,
because that's what all of this stuff is. Like the idea of like building up the goodwill of Game Pass, building its values, like so they can, like everything else, so they can turn the keys, fuck it.
Well, and
and generate a lot of wealth at the appropriate time. That order has come down now.
Spigot turned off, so
right, because it's not come down.
You have to do it internally now. Like, you can't rely on that outside fund. You cannot rely on whatever. You have to do it yourself. So when you have to do it yourself, you're under a lot more scrutiny because you can't just generate profit immediately, but you can cut expenses. Yes.
And that's what happened here.
Us three talked about this like 8, maybe 9 months ago, where we're like, yeah, the toy division of Xbox just kind of gets away with stuff. Apparently that died when they decided to spend an unfortunately large amount of money buying the Call of Duty. And yeah, it's like, I want you to picture this. The Eye of Sauron turned on them and looked down and said, "The F is going on over there." You spent what? Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think, I don't know if it was a smart decision. I'm not in that business, but the older I get, the more I realize people that I assume are smart at business are actually effing morons. and they just happen to fail their way into like these positions of incredible power and responsibility.
Well, and I think it's not, again, I don't even think it's like, I honestly think the thinking on this needs to change sometimes, because it's not even like I don't even think it's like a meritocracy thing. It's like, I mean, yeah, they probably did not get there because they're like the most skilled X or Y, but they get there because they play ball. They know, they have the connections. They know at the end of the day, like, what to do, what kind of things need to be done to generate growth.
Yeah.
And like, they're the people who are unscrupulous enough to do that job. And that's why they're there. It's like, so it's like they have a very specific skill set that they're very good at. It's also just an immoral one. And, but good for business. So
I want this on the podcast because I like to make wild predictions so we can go back and we can blast my wrong opinion. Every so often, I say something that was like completely off base, and I have one prediction that I've gotten that you both are allowed to forever hold over me, and I will tell you what episode it was. And I said the Switch was going to be not good. You may forever dangle that over my head, but I want to make this prediction. I think in 10 years, I think in 10 years, Microsoft just leaves the console business. I think they're done. I think they're on their way out. What they're doing right now isn't sustainable. What they're doing right now isn't going to keep working.
I don't know.
You're allowed to disagree with me. If I'm wrong, come back to this episode and say, "Look at this dumbass thing you said." By all means. I say 10 years.
It kind of feels like this is a good question. I've kind of gone back on it, a couple times. It's almost kind of like an insurance policy at this point, because like they already have so much over there's a lot of inherent value in, this is a dumb reason, but like there's a lot of inherent value in like something on a shelf at Target called an Xbox.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a lot of brand awareness built into that they can't just like, they're not going to put down for nothing, right? So it feels like there always is going to have to be some kind of thing you can identify as an Xbox, because like with how like these generations go, sometimes Xbox is like one Sony slip up from, one very big Sony slip up or a lot of little Sony slip ups into the math on it changing.
Yeah.
And to take advantage of that, they have to be waiting in the wings as far as like capacity and, branding to still do that. Cause like, again, after the PS2 took over the entire world, and then PS3 has no games, right? Like it can happen that fast. So I think like, I wouldn't be surprised if there are I don't know if there's like, I bet there's still going to be something you call an Xbox just because of that, like,
You think it'll be
in for a penny,
box?
In for a pound kind of thing. That's just
I've been making this prediction for a long time, and I will stand by it. I think in call it 2 console cycles, they will basically just have what is essentially a Roku box that is the Xbox. It'll plug into your TV. It will it will have some minor storage, but most of it will be called from the cloud and be streamed to your device. They even announced, like, they did announce in this situation, in the last conference too, that like, while all of this is going on, they are releasing an Xbox Series X that is all digital, which has not been like, in the Xbox Series XS line, the X has been the disc-based version, and the Series S has not. But now they're going to release the more powerful console in a discless version. So, like, obviously they're confident enough in that console to produce a new SKU that does not have the ability to play discs. Like, I think we are still edging towards that future of the Xbox being a streaming hub that a controller connects to more than, whatever. But, like, they will still have some hardware that you can go to a Walmart, to a Target, to a Best Buy, and buy and bring home and plug into your TV.
I think they're testing the waters of that because it's a limited SKU. Like, they only produce so many of them. The internet-only Xbox Series X version you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still selling it. I haven't looked it up, but I saw that it was limited in amounts.
They just announced it, so we'll see how that does. But
I could see that, but I don't even. I'm hedging my bet right now that I don't even think they go that far. I think they just want to be a game publisher. I think they want to say, you know what, we own Bethesda, which means we technically own the Doom franchise. We own the we own the Elder Scrolls franchise. We own the Fallout franchise. There's a TV show of that. I hear that's pretty good and fun to watch. We own the Call of Duty people, which means we also technically own the World of Warcraft people, which also means they own the Overwatch people. But I don't know, who cares anymore? I'm sorry, Overwatch guys. I'm sorry. Your game was fun. But I think they just want to sit on that, and they just want to make they want to really, really do the games as a service thing. 'Cause when's the last?
But they also can't make a Halo game. That's the other problem.
What
the fuck's up with that?
That is fair.
They have been struggling to make a banger Halo. Like, Infinite's kind of alright. They got rid. The Halo people are making Destiny now, don't you know?
And the smallest preview of that, they have been cooking.
I hear things. I plan to play it sometime this year.
They kind of nailed it. I'm not gonna lie. I say that every time, but
I was about to say you're an unreliable source in this.
No. I can say it now because I'm admitting I lied those other times.
Mike actually admitting Lightfall was bad. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys know where you
the
can
seasons
hear,
were good?
Do you know where you can hear Mike's hot Destiny takes?
Where?
Unscriptedgaming.com. That's where you can get links to all of our shows across all of our different platforms. You can get links to our post-scripted Love is Blind, Love is Unscripted here coming soon, the next episodes, and all of our other media. You can follow us on Facebook at Unscript Game Podcast. You can get us on Twitter at, on X at unscript_gaming. You can get soundcloud.com/unscripted-gaming for our audio versions. We're on all the podcatchers. Make sure you follow the video on YouTube. Thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Mike.
My name is Ray.
Peace.